So when I started Chi-Town and the Chi-Town Boys in the middle 80s, 86, 87, 88, we had a motto. We gonna get high and rob till the day we die. We gonna not live to be 25. Either we gonna kill somebody or they gonna kill us in the street. So now I'm over 25, but I hadn't really changed. So when I went to AA, when I was sobered, I saw better days that I can have. But the more I got high, it was like, whoa, the only good part about me being high is when my friends would say, man, don't come around here praying and crying.
From Fiore Communications, it's How I Got Here, a show of inspiring stories from Tallahassee area leaders, business owners, and neighbors. All the challenges, opportunities, inspirations, the twists and turns of life that led them to where they are today. Everyone has a story worth telling, and I am really grateful that we get to bring a few of them to you. I truly have been changed by my conversations with these amazing people, and I'm confident you will be too. I'm Dave Fiore, and in this episode, I speak with Warren Cave, the founder of the Clean Start Initiative, a nonprofit ministry to help those previously incarcerated and their families. Warren grew up in Coral Gables as one of 13 children and was an outstanding student and basketball player, in spite of the fact that he would often be drunk and high before the first school bell even rang. He spent 4 years in the 10th grade, with more time on the streets of Coconut Grove robbing tourists than in the classroom. That led to repeated trips to jail and eventually prison as an addict who didn't expect to live past the age of 25. Warren's life took a dramatic turn when he heard from God in the back of a police car and began to turn things around. And while his journey has not been without setbacks, he has dedicated his life to helping others, especially the homeless and those struggling with drugs and alcohol. He and his wife Yolanda met at the fun station playing basketball for some Popeye's chicken, a game he lost. They have 5 children in their family and are grateful to be making a difference together. We started our conversation talking about growing up in a rather unusual home environment.
I went to a predominantly white school, which was Coral Gables Senior High. I was raised around a bunch of, we were like not really poor, but my dad had so much money that I thought we were rich.
Right.
So I came up in that environment, never suffered, never had to beg, never seen lights out. We fed a lot of people through my family. It was a lot of drinking and drugging was normal for lifestyle, and that's, I will tell you later, the first time I ever had a drink of hard alcohol or whiskey, I don't think I was 8 years old.
So within your family or within the community?
In my house.
Okay.
My dad was, I never seen my dad go to a 9 to 5. I never seen him go to a regular job. I never seen my mom work. She cleaned houses for people, she said, but I don't know. But my dad was a bookie. He was a legal guy, so what he did was like the dog track and the horse races and people betting and figuring how to win money illegally, and then he had the gambling houses where they would be, but he made his money that way, And
so he was one of those community guys people would place bets with.
Yeah.
So did he do his business like on TV shows where there's like a legal business and then there's a secret door where all this stuff's going on in the background?
No, he did it in the living room in our house.
In the living room.
But he walked the neighborhoods. He did most of his stuff in the streets, but there were people that was allowed to come to the house. But a lot of people came to the house to get paid. And one of the good parts about my dad is that, the bookie and the numbers come out that evening. A lot of times they can get paid from my dad that evening instead of the next day. So it was one of those things. So,
right.
Yeah.
So did you know what was going on when you were a kid?
I really didn't. I remember I was in the 3rd grade and the teacher said, well, what did your daddy do? I said, my daddy write numbers. And so she goes and get the other teachers, and they was like, she said, tell them what your dad does. I said, my dad write numbers. And before you know it, all 3 of them was my dad's customer. So
they knew what you meant, right?
I didn't think of it in a bad way.
Right.
And
just a lot of strangers coming in and out all the time.
And my mom was what you can call a queen. There's Masons, and then there are Eastern Stars. And Eastern Stars is like a bunch of women, but every year my mom was the queen. So we get to travel a lot. There was a lot of parties. They played Pokino, was like a card game, spades, tunk. So they would go from different houses playing. So I can remember 9 and 10 years old stacking the deck for my mom and my aunt, stacking the card deck so they can win. I was already adapted to that lifestyle of trying to, get
Game
the money.
The system.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I was learning to be illegal in the house. And I don't think from kindergarten to 7th grade, maybe the 4th semester of 7th grade, because I started drinking and drugging a lot. I think from kindergarten to maybe the 7th grade, I probably made 2 B's on the report card. I used to cheat for a lot of people. And it was just one of those things where school book-wise, I was very alert. And I, later if I get into my story, how I was excelling. But now that I'm a part of Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been a part of it for years. I'm not actively going all the time. I may go 15, 20 times a year, but I live the life of trying to help people get off drugs and alcohol.
Sure.
But it says my life became unmanageable. And my life started becoming unmanageable in the 7th grade. And then it kept progressing.
Right.
And when I got to the 10th grade, it was full blown.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that some. So you grew up in a home where there's illegal activity going on. But I mean, what about your relationship with your parents? I mean, were you close to them?
My dad was 20 years older than my mom.
Okay.
So when I was 13 and one of the best athletes in the neighborhood, in the community, my dad never came to see me play a basketball game. He never came to see me play a football game. My mom would come sometimes. But there were people that would give me drugs or bet money on me that always came to see me play. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
did that hurt you at the time when your dad wasn't there?
Honestly, it never did, because a lot of times there were a lot of people that needed these people to come and give them. I was the person that had money through my dad. A lot of these people didn't have money. So to me, it was normal. The going to church, I'd never seen my dad in church until I seen him in a casket. But he never deterred us from going to church. It wasn't like he didn't know the Lord. It's just that he had a previous marriage where he had 6 kids that were older than I am, then my mom. And so it was, his thing was about taking care of the house with the money, but he also did a lot for the neighborhood. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Labor Day, Memorial Day, we fed a lot of people. We housed a lot of people. We housed blacks, white, Puerto Ricans. We housed a lot of people that can stay with us.
So you saw a lot of kindness in him to the community, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
I get my giving from my mom and dad.
Okay.
I saw that a lot. But now the educational part of the lifestyle of a young guy coming up supposed to be doing the right thing, I didn't get those sit-down talks. My dad was more like, I became 14, I was selling a lot of weed, and I would say, Dad, I got some money for some groceries, whatever. And he had a motto, and his motto was good, but he never sat down and explained it. He said, when you get 18, you grown and on your own. Save your money. So I'm the knee baby of 13, but there a lot of times there was 5, 6 in the house.
Right.
So
when a lot of a combined family, a lot of kids.
But when they got 18, they were gone.
Yeah.
You out of here.
Right.
So that was it. But he never sat down and say, hey, you know what, Warren? Start saving your money. Because when you get out on your own, you're going to have to learn how to manage your money, take care of your business. Those weren't the conversation. His thing was, when you 18,
I'm
you
done
grown,
helping.
And you out of here.
Right. Going back to when you're a little bit younger, you started smoking weed for the first time in like the 5th grade?
6th grade.
6th
I'm
grade.
about 11 years old, yeah.
All right. So you start, and then by 7th grade, you're selling joints. And smoking.
And drinking a lot of quarts of beer.
I mean, I know you were around it some through the environment of some of the people who were in and out of your house, but how do you get that deep in it so young? I mean, we're talking about middle school.
But here's the catch. When I was in the 7th grade, I was like the baby dealer of the young guys. There were guys dealing bigger stuff than me that were just as young. You see what I'm saying?
So
it was the neighborhood. It was normal for someone in Miami. It's a lot of people would start and stop. There were a lot of people went to school with me that would try to sell weed and stuff for a little bit and they stopped. I just carried on and on and on.
So were there older kids who got you into it?
The first time that I smoked weed with the guys that lived in the apartment area where I lived at, and they were older. They used to smoke, and I was playing ball, and they told me, you ain't got to smoke cigarettes. This make you feel better. So you keep telling me that, I want to know, and then it made me feel good, and then it just went from there.
So were you trying to? It made you feel good in that you were like escaping from something, or
No,
you just liked the way it felt?
It made me feel, but it made me feel like I was one of.
You were a cool
the guy.
kid?
Yeah, I'm the cool guy. I smoke weed. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And when you having on the best clothes, the best sneakers, you looking semi-fly. That's.
I have never looked semi-fly in my whole life.
Well, I'm far from it now, but back then I was.
Sure. Now again, so Coral Gables, is that primarily a white community?
A predominantly, okay, put it this way.
Because I think of University of Miami when I think Coral Gables.
That's Coral Gables.
Right.
But I was born on the borderline of Coconut Grove and Coral Gables.
Okay.
My physical address was 135 South Dixie Highway, Coral Gables, Florida, 33133.
Okay.
So I was born in Coral Gables.
Right.
But I mainly hung out in Coconut Grove.
Which is a different environment.
That is the environment where they're predominantly black.
So this was Coconut Grove is where the drinking, the smoking weed, all that stuff happened.
Even worse.
And nobody paid any attention to you.
Well, the people that was drinking it, the older people didn't. They didn't really. When you got a bunch of kids we go in the park and we play ball all day, we smoking weed all day, we drinking quarts all day. You can see people 30, 40. Every now and then you would have the one that say, y'all need to just.
But you're not really hurting anybody.
Yeah, not.
Right.
So to them, this is the normal lifestyle for us.
And so your parents, did they have any idea that you
my
were
dad,
falling into
I
this?
remember when my dad, marijuana, I was kind of naive at the time, and I did, he my eyes red, and he asked, "You been smoking that weed?" I say, "No, but I know I was smelling like a pound." So I remember about 3 days later.
A pound in a day?
I was smelling like a pound of weed.
Oh, you were smelling like it.
I knew that when he asked, I was smelling like a pound. So
right,
he was
sure.
And so.
I mean, I can smell it now driving down Thomasville Road. So I don't know how he would. Yeah,
and it was about a couple of days later. I was in between something, but I needed some extra money for something. And he said, "I'm not going to be giving you money if you're going to be smoking weed." And so I didn't hardly ask him for anything else but he let me know that he was against it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I didn't have a sit down talk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't have a sit down talk. Sit down talks are great. My son turned 13 years old today. Little Warren. He's big Warren now.
18?
He's bigger than me, yeah.
And he turned 18?
Yeah, I took him to Canopy Rose Cafe, and we had breakfast, and I talked to him. And I don't give him the sit down talks for me to make him walk how I want to walk. I want you to keep your relationship with Christ. I want you to try to do the right thing. If you make a mistake, I want you to own up to it. And I want you to keep doing what's best for you. Mm-hmm. God has a calling for you. You'll figure it out. But I can't tell him what to do or what I want him to do. But I have sit down with him, and I don't have those, I'm going to beat you up by what you did wrong. I'm gonna explain it to you, but I'm going to also always try to reward you and bless you and encourage you for doing what's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. By 9th grade, things were really cranking up, right? As far as beer. So you in the information you sent me, you said you were basically drinking the equivalent of 1.5 gallons of beer a day.
I was drinking about 6 or 7. There were times when
how does somebody even do that?
You want me to tell you something, Dave? I really don't know. I just know it became normal, It became a lifestyle. When I was in the 9th grade, school started at 8:45. When school started, I probably was drunk a quart or maybe 2 quarts and smoked 3 joints before school even started. I remember back when I was going to school, we had home economics, we had cooking classes, we had arts and crafts. So I remember you do the iron on. So I put on back of my shirt Warren C, a.k.a. Quartz Man, because they used to call me Quart Man. So my daddy washes the clothes. I said, you know what? They didn't put the letters on because they was trying to say quarterback man. My dad said, you must think and he just used some choice words.
Yeah.
So
he didn't buy it.
He didn't buy it, but they used to call me Quart Man. I wasn't even 15 years old.
What, did you like that reputation?
I was the man.
Yeah.
I could drink quarts better than some of the other guys. You could see some of them get to 1 or 2 or try to get 3, and they just all over the place just throwing up and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, and you're also smoking a lot still.
A lot of weed,
right.
And that done started dabbling. Not a lot because I didn't like it at first, but I started dabbling with cocaine.
Okay.
And it wasn't something that I liked, but
because that's a kind of a step up, right? As far as being impaired.
It was very a step up, yeah.
But that didn't really stick with you.
Not then. But when I got in high school, it stuck with me and it escalated. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So despite all that, despite your impairment and your drinking and smoking and all that stuff, you're still making good grades, right?
In the 9th grade, I made a couple of C's. I never made a D in the 9th grade. I made,
But you're still getting through school.
Oh, yeah. I was not really studying. I was skipping school a lot. I literally can know what we're going to have a test on, go through my book the night before, and go in there and ace it.
Right.
And it was just normal for me to do that. The 10th grade caught up with me because it was a new platform. You can't miss 20 days and 30 days and think you're going to get the grade you got on your test.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you're playing basketball, right?
In the 10th grade.
In the 10th grade. So you get to 10th grade and kind of hit a roadblock.
And when I was in the 10th grade, I became the guy.
Okay.
I'm selling all the weed at school. I'm drinking quarts, pocket full of money. Make the basketball team. The very first game, I'm the starting point guard. I was very, very good in basketball.
Yeah.
I was great. I was like a little neighborhood park legend too.
Right.
Yeah, I was a legend.
So you kind of got it all going on, right? You've got a lot of street cred.
Yeah.
An athlete.
Yeah. Smart.
Probably the girls liked you, right?
You know what they did? Some did, but I was very picky. There were a couple of girls that I really liked in high school that I really wanted to deal with, and the rest of them, I didn't care because I liked it what I liked it.
Sure.
And there was a certain type. And honestly, it was more of the kind where I saw she couldn't be like a wife. The ones I smoked weed and ran around with, you ain't had to worry about me wanting to date them.
Right.
That was just me.
Right.
It was just a different kind.
So you ended up repeating 10th grade you spent 4 years in 10th grade.
I went to Coral Gables Senior High in September 1980. In May of 1984, I was going to the 11th grade, and I dropped out.
So how is that possible that the school system would keep you in the same grade for 4 years? There's
a lot to go with that, but a lot of it I'm black too. So
they just wanted to.
No, it wasn't that they wanted to. Let me just piggyback. I'm the starting point guard in the 7th, 8th game of the year.
Okay.
I'm drunk and high. I cuss a guy out on the basketball court, slap one.
You slap somebody.
The opponent.
Okay.
It was before halftime. They told me, the coach sent me to the locker room. We were playing in our gym. When I got ready to leave, the whole team was gone. I had done fell asleep. I was drunk and high. They told me I could never play sports again at Coral Gables, but they wouldn't let me transfer either because number one thing is my address is Coral Gables.
Right.
So I couldn't go somewhere else. So from there, I started smoking more, drinking more. Then I started dabbling with cocaine more.
So you eventually got kicked out of school, though, right?
I dropped out.
You left.
I left. Well,
Or it's kind of a mutual decision.
It was like, hey.
So what happens next? Where does your life go from there?
You know, I never forget it. I can remember it like yesterday, and that was like, why I made this choice. So me and a friend of mine, we were sitting on a hill where in this area, we started calling Chi-Town. I became Chi-Town and the Chi-Town Boys. And he was like, man, you heard about such and such, Rob? These people got a Rolex and got $3,000. I'm like, man, why he got paid? So he's like, man, somebody come through, they got a Rolex, we're going to take it. So from that conversation, I began robbing, snatching chains, snatching pocketbooks, taking watches from expensive
street crime.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Coconut Grove area was known for tourists. So back then, tourists didn't carry credit and debit cards. They carried pouches and money in their pocket. Mm. So it was easy to come up with $1,500, $2,000 on a robbery or something. And so then trying to sell drugs and trying to rob people, I became known as one of the good ones in the neighborhood doing it. But one thing I didn't realize is I was going to start going back and forth to jail. Mm. I started getting arrested more.
So you'd get picked up, sent to jail, spend a little time there, get out.
And then the more I get out, the more the progression. My friends became deeper into robbing and selling, so I became deeper, but I didn't beat the habit of getting high. And it constantly took me spiraling down quicker and quicker and quicker. And so I remember getting out of prison for the last time, September 14th, 1990. And it was the best time that I ever had with my dad. He was about a month and a half away from death. Hmm. He had cancer. It had eaten him up. And I used to wash his, body, clean him. And we had good conversations. I remember him telling me to stay the way he saw me then because I wasn't really getting high and stuff. I really mainly was trying to help take care of my dad.
Right.
And so I remember the day he passed, I went and rolled the joint, and it went right back down. Mm-hmm. And so for the next couple of years, I moved to Georgia, same thing, trying to do what I'm doing in Miami and Georgia, and got in a lot of trouble there. Got kicked out of Georgia and came back to Miami. And for a couple of years, when I wasn't in jail and strung out, I tried to go through AA and NA. That's when I got into it. I was mainly homeless. Yeah, I became homeless.
Okay. And you were used to having money and being the man and all this stuff, and now you're in a little tougher spot. So how were you dealing with that?
Drugs that's why I say when my life became unmanageable, this is the thing about people with addictions. Addictions rule. So there was a guy offered me a rooming house. A room is a room. It's like a hotel, a big old building with like 30 rooms. So you pay like $60 a week. I prefer to get high before I get somebody $60 a week. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather go sleep on somebody's couch when I can or sleep on the park because my money was made for dope. And the great part about it, God has a sense of humor. Now, if I had a child in the 80s, early 90s, and they needed a diaper and I needed crack, they'd got a dirty T-shirt. So that was my philosophy.
Right.
And I know a lot of people, they don't see it that way, but when you hear of the person's not being responsible and they have an addiction, it's because the addiction has taken over. And the main responsibility in life of the person that's the addict is, I want this feeling or I wants to do this, what I want to do.
Right.
Compared to what I need to do.
Sure.
And that's where I was at.
At this point, were you thinking at all about what your life was going to look like, how old you thought you would be when you died, or like what the end of this was going to be?
Well, I made it to 25. So when I started Chi-Town and the Chi-Town boys in the middle 80s, 86, 87, 88, we had a motto. We going to get high and rob till the day we die. We going to not live to be 25. Either we going to kill somebody or they going to kill us in the street. So now I'm over 25. But I hadn't really changed. So when I went to AA, when I was sobered, I saw better days that I can have. But the more I got high, it was like, cool. The only good part about me being high is when my friends would say, man, don't come around here praying and crying. For some reason, my attachment to Christ and God was heavy. I can get high and start crying. Lord, help me. You know, I'm about to get high. Lord, don't kill me because I want to do better. But this was me. I had a relationship, but the addiction was overtaken. And I can always say this here, and it's not to knock anyone. My sponsor did the best he can do, but my sponsor was only one man. If you have a network and a support group that's strong, you can overcome it. And I didn't have it that way because I ran from my family, which could have been a support group.
Right.
And I ran to the ones that was trying to help me be destroyed.
Right. One positive thing that happened while you were in jail, you got your GED.
I got my GED in prison in 1989.
So that took some work, right?
Yeah, no.
Or not for you because you didn't have any problems.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the highest scores they had in prison. So the thing, I was like, whoa. But I remember coming home, and my dad says, now this is my dad. We talking 1990. I didn't graduate from Gables, and I had a stint at Miami-Dade. He said, so what you had to do, why you went and got a GED and you graduated? I said, Dad, I never graduated. That's why I never wanted to walk across the stage. But he never had a conversation with me.
He didn't even know that.
But when you making A's and B's like I was, the family never asked me for a report card. Or Warren doing okay.
Right.
The time that I was remained, you know, I had a couple of classes I had to do, and so that's what I said, and it just flew by them. Okay, he messed up a little bit, so now you got to do extra year. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's interesting because he obviously cared about you and loved you, but he seemed super well equipped to be a father figure to you in every way.
My dad dropped out in the 6th grade. My dad never graduated from school. So he comes from like doing field work in the beginning. Before he started hustling, my dad was like somebody in the country doing tomatoes and you know,
like a migrant worker.
Yeah. That's what he did. Yeah. That's what the family did. So that's that's the way. And so he went to hustling after that. But that's what he made. So he didn't have, but he was very smart, very educated. But he just, you know, with me. And when you got a big family like that and you get older, times were changing people. Because my dad was just mellow set. He gonna do his numbers. He go to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. He get up 4 o'clock in the morning, go pay off people, doing things, come home every day. You know, at the time when everybody's going to the corner store, we talking about 72, 73, 74. And my dad coming home 3-4 bags of Publix grocery. People like, man, your dad go to Publix, y'all got money. Publix is just, but I'm just saying, but where I come from, they couldn't afford Publix.
Sure.
So that's the way that was.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so 1990 was the last time that you were convicted?
No.
Or it's when you got out?
1990 was the last time I got out of prison.
Okay.
I went to jail many times after. A matter of fact, you know, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I've been to jail in Tallahassee 4 times, and I have a charge that was in 2019 that came up that, you know, I really discussed that some other time. But I've been in trouble. A couple of times I was not really doing something what I was arrested for. A couple of times I have. I can say this. The last time I went to prison and got out in 1990, I really didn't do the charge but my record, I would have went to trial and lost.
Right.
So those are the consequences of being a convicted felon. So I didn't have benefits where you ain't been there much, so you can get a little favor.
Right.
So that's the way that goes. When you've been convicted a lot, you're looked at more as the person that did it than the person that didn't do it.
Right. And we'll be right back. How I Got Here is sponsored by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning in Tallahassee. I've been friends with Patrick Barano since we met in a chamber leads group about 15 years ago. I'll admit that I pursued him pretty hard to be his marketing firm and eventually won him over. And the reason I wanted to work with him is that I was already a customer and I knew what kind of company he and his father before him had built. He cares about his customers, he cares about his team, and he cares about this community. I've experienced Barano Heating and Air when they installed a complete system replacement a few years ago, and I enjoy peace of mind and same-day service with my Total Comfort Service Agreement. I've also been behind the scenes at their office and seen firsthand the true character of this company. And that's why we're so proud to represent them. To learn more or to schedule an appointment online anytime, visit baranoac.com. They really always will be there for you. And now back to the show. What happened to you on June 3rd, 1997?
The world was waiting on Warren to straighten up, and Warren wasn't going to straighten up. So God himself came to touch me and clean me. I was been up 3 days, very suicidal, hopeless. I've been out of jail. I got out of jail on a Tuesday. The following Tuesday, which was 7 days, I was back in the handcuffs. And I've been up for 3 days, 4 days. So that's the lifestyle I was living. I wore about 147 pounds. I looked at like the Walking Dead. And in the backseat of the police car, I'd never forget it, Dave. It's like there was a big fire, and the car was on fire and all this smoke. There was no police around because they was looking for a gun and drugs. There was nobody in the car, no officer in the car. And in the smoke, God kept saying, "Surrender, I love you." And I kept hearing the voice.
So you audibly heard him.
Yeah. But here's the crazy part. I say, man, I don't want no more of that dope.
Whatever this is.
I don't want no more of this dope.
Yeah.
So he kept saying, Jesus love you, surrender. And I kept, and then it kicked in. Me praying, me asking God to help me when I'm high.
You know, all those times before when you were crying and praying and high.
And people didn't want me doing that.
Right.
But now, this was the benefit of that.
So you think God was answering your prayers by coming to you at that point?
There's a scripture where it says that if God has 100 sheep and one is lost, he'll leave the 99 to go find the one.
Right.
He personally, I wasn't at an altar. I wasn't in an AA room. I wasn't being counseled. Wasn't in no therapy class. I wasn't out praying. I was out trying to destroy my life. And he came and touched me. I was a person that said, I'm going to always drink and drug until the day I die. I'm going to rob and kill somebody or die in the street till the day I die. From June 3rd, 1997 to September 13th, 2023, I've never had a desire to drink and drug, never smoked a joint, never drunk alcohol, don't carry no weapons, no knife, no gun, no nothing. He delivered me. The crazy part is when I went to court, I asked them before I went to give me a drug treatment program because I'm really a junkie, that I'm really an addict. And they say, Warren, you're looking at 40 to 80 years if you go to trial. This is what the guy tells me.
Wow.
So he said, you're looking at 40 years. He said, I'm going to send you back. And we're going to try to make them come. You'll probably come to court a couple of times. Try to drop it down to 20. We're going to try. The best I could do is try to get you 15 years. If you go to trial and lose, they can give you 80 because you're an habitual offender. I went to jail for robbing and selling to undercovers 4 times within 1 year. And with my record, I should have went back to prison.
Right.
And so I went to the cell. And in my cell, I went on a fast for 3 days. It's the first time ever. It's not documented in the court system, Dave. I got a clip that's going to be in my book. I came off my fast about 6:30 that evening. And about 7:19, 7:21, somewhere in the book, the police that arrested me shot a guy, planted a pistol on him. He lived. They became corrupt. I get to talk to you today.
Wow.
That's what happened.
Instead of being in jail.
And when I got out of jail, instead of me going back to my friends, I walked about 4.5, 5 hours to a shelter. And the shelter was packed, so I stayed overnight at a halfway house that my sponsor took me to. And on November 15th of 1997, I went to the Homeless Assistance Center called the Hack, a shelter. And I stayed there from November 15th to March 30th. I worked 2 or 3 jobs, never smoked a cigarette, never touched a woman, saved all my money. And when I left, I furnished a 2-bedroom apartment. It really was 3, but it was like 2. It was a little small room. Furnished it, had a car, had money, and I never thought about drinking and drugging. I got involved with church. I really got gung-ho about church. And the first church I went to, it was next to a crack house. Literally, the size of this space we're in is double. This is the church wall. You double that, there's a crack house.
Right.
And in 1998 and 1999, I started feeding some of them people, and one of them is a deacon in that church right now. So I started feeding the homeless, talking to them, minister to them, and I was living in Miami. And so in 2000, being involved with a lady, and she left me, I wanted to come follow her, and I'm glad I did because I met my wife.
What do you attribute your ability to not fall back into the lifestyle right away and be able to get started in that really tough time when you're excited about what happened, but you still have all that temptation and all those years and years of what your old habits? How did you stay straight?
From June 24th, and I leave in the courtroom until November the 14th, I learned something that I use, and I tell this, I teach Bible college at Leon County Jail. And I always tell this to people when you're locked up. People want you to pay tithes. And when you pay your tithes, that's time, talent, and treasure. So you have the talent here. You don't have the treasure because you're in jail, so you can't really pay it.
Right.
The best way to pay your tithes while you're here, I doubled 2.4 hours a day. So I made sure I do 4 or 5 hours a day that I was in the presence of God and I was praying and studying and trying to get my life in order. I was paying my tithes to him for my past so he could help me in my future.
Right.
And right now I'm getting caught up because it's good. It works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because the Bible's pretty clear that you cannot do it on your own, right? It's the acceptance of your weakness to to allow God's strength to work through you.
Yes.
And so that must have been pretty apparent to you from the beginning.
Yeah. And the thing about it, even with me and my friends, 13, 14, 15 years old, we get high all day. And we don't get high on Sunday, we go to church. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was the religious thing. We're not going to get high on Sunday.
Right.
But we
show God some respect, not be high.
Monday morning is on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sunday we wasn't getting high. So yeah.
What is the first thing you did after you got out of prison for that last time after all this had happened?
I went to the shelter. After I got out of the shelter, I got involved with the church, and it was very holy. So I come from church where.
What do you mean holy?
They holy and righteous. They live right. They try to live by the Bible.
Right.
See,
Take it seriously.
Yeah. I come from church where the pastor might have a Cadillac and 2 different families in town, girlfriends. I'm just.
Yeah.
That's where I come from. Well, I still remember my pastor started mentoring me, and I would be looking at, and I asked him one day, we was talking. I say, Pastor Thompson. He said, yeah. I say, which one of them? I'd be trying to look at your eyes. Which one of them really like you, your girlfriend? He said, what do you mean? I said, all pastors I know you ain't got a Cadillac, but I know you got a girlfriend. He said, no, Warren. He said, I don't touch women, I touch my own. But he really was living holy. But because of my mindset of the past, and then he put me in this position to say, Warren, ask for forgiveness a lot, but I want you to keep praying and study. But the more you live holy and righteous, the better you're going to be. I fall in the short on a lot of it, but I try my best to do it as much as possible to the best of my ability. And he helped me with that. And from that point, I began to start helping people that was come from where I come from. And that was the beginning stages. When I came here in 2000, I worked for Mothers in Crisis. I came here, learned the streets of Tallahassee, and I wanted to go in the areas where they was drinking and drugging and try to help guys.
Sure. So how did you end up in Tallahassee?
Chasing the lady I was with before. She moved back here.
Okay.
And so then after a year and a half of struggling with her, we broke off. The best thing I think that ever happened to me is I was in Christian Heritage Church from 2002 to maybe 2012. June 9, 2004, I had the first conversation ever with my wife. And I've made so many mistakes. I've done some great things. You know, there's a saying, behind every great man, there's a great woman. Mm. But besides this great man, it has been a great woman that has literally, a lot of times during my life, has carried me because of me being not as consistent with work and money.
Right.
Taking my money, trying to bless everybody and take care of everybody. Lots of times I'm grateful because I really see that if I had a normal woman that really didn't love Jesus, she wouldn't put up with me and take care of me.
Right. Well, let's talk about her. Your wife is Yolanda.
Her name is Yolanda Cave.
Right.
She is the best woman I've ever met.
How'd you meet her?
She's strong. We was playing basketball, and we played for, the basketball game at Fun Station. Yeah. We were playing for some Popeye's chicken, and Dave, I wasn't trying to lose. Because at the time it wasn't a thing where we gonna talk and date.
Right.
I'm finna beat you for this chicken.
Right. This is serious. Right.
We talking Popeye's chicken.
Right. Yeah.
So she beat me. And so
they're kind of trick baskets, though.
Yeah. She beat me, right. And I still recall that I had a car wash, but I had a beeper. She had a cell phone, so I gave her my beeper number, and I did her car. But instead of going to Popeyes, we went to Chili's. The crazy thing, Dave, is that this what really it threw me off, but it also gave me enlightenment. The first 2 or 3 times we went on a date, she was 15 minutes early. I'm used to being 15 minutes, 30 minutes late. Mm. So I'm like, wow. So then we go to Sonic on Monroe Street, and we go by Lake Keller to sit down. And I opened up the paper with the straw, and I threw the paper out the window, and she said, "Get out, that's lottery, and pick it up." So I called my buddy later. I said, "Man, I think this lady I'm dealing with half white, but she's a good lady though, man." She don't do the normal stuff my women do.
Right.
She had the same job, brought the kids up. Well, we have 5 kids. She had 2 from a previous marriage. Her first husband was murdered. And I had 2 kids already. And so we have Warren, the one whose birthday is today. We dated, we got married in 2005, but through it all, I've had my bouts with, and I've told people, and people see me post sometimes with, feeling depressed, I'm feeling down, even with all I'm doing. Mm. And 90% of me, the enemy coming at me with depression is because I really want to take care of her without her working. And I'm not at that position now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it still bothers me.
Yeah.
But it depresses me. And with me doing what I'm doing, and now with the ministry, and never gotten a check, never gotten a payroll, just got denied 3 times within the last month for a grant, even from the city and county, where I'm doing so much work in this area. But God keeps telling me to do what I got to do. But it becomes discouraging. So I've opened my car wash back up. And one day before I die, I'm going to be able to really bless her a lot. I have faith in what God has shown me and what he's told me.
I think she would probably say you already are blessing her.
Yeah, but, we have financial things.
You want to take care of her financially.
Yeah, and I want to take care of myself financially too.
Right.
And I haven't been able to as much as I want to because when you're trying to build, I've learned this, when you're trying to build a ministry that can be sustaining, it's hard. And if I haven't been blessed to have the financial blessing of someone that can sow into me, they show into my events and things I'm doing. But in order to go to jails and do the things I'm doing, it's like the outside world, yeah, Warren, you're doing great. But the inside world, Warren, where's your money you need to take home? You need to try to do something for yourself to better yourself. You see what I'm saying? So it's discouraging.
Right. So you talked about your car wash. That's Bless My Ride.
It's called Bless My Ride Custom Detailing.
And you founded that in 2002 originally, right?
When I was here, I was dating a lady, and she became pregnant. And I still remember on February 26th, my firstborn child, Jasmine, was born. And, I was doing what I could do. I had a job at Walmart, and I was doing some cleaning house. I was just working. And I was like, man, how can I just really do something and really, where I can help my daughter with more money? And so on my birthday in 2002, I got me a brown paper, like the paper from Walmart you put your groceries in, like being Publix. I got one, and I tore it up. I cut it up, and I made 50 of my 446-9380. That was my pager number, and I gave it to people, saying the name of my car wash is the Anointed Hands Car Wash. If you need a car wash, so that's how I started. And I went from Anointed Hands to Bless My Ride.
Okay,
I've been a vendor for Florida State. I'm a vendor for the state. I do a lot of doctors and nurses' cars here in Tallahassee. Through my car wash, I've blessed so many families with a lot through the car wash. And one of the biggest problems that I used to call myself a failure and be depressed is because I was great at selling car wash coupons and car washes to take care of people, but wasn't great at doing car detailing to take care of Warren. So now my mindset is flipped. So I'm gonna take care of me. Right. I love people, but you
can't do anything if you're not in a good place yourself. Right?
Yeah. So that's what's been going on with that.
Right. So you stopped doing it for a little while, and now you're back doing it again?
I'm back doing it full time.
Okay.
I'm doing my ministry full time. My ministry is full time, but the thing about my ministry is I've done so much and I've been so equipped with. God has given me a gift to be educated. So now I use that gift now. I did 4 years in the 10th grade, but from 2004 to 2012, I did 7 years of theology, and I got a master's degree in theology.
At Covenant Bible College, right?
Yeah, in seminary.
Right.
And so I use that teaching and what my lifestyle, so I could use the natural, the spiritual, and the worldly approach to teach life skills to individuals that's spiraling down, been on drugs and alcohol or still is, ex-offenders trying to find a job.
Right.
I teach life skills to these kind of individuals, and I'm very effective at it.
Right. And that's the Clean Start Initiative.
That's the Clean Start Initiative. And it is, when I tell you, it is amazing how God can use your past and use you to do some things. I love my ministry. Like I told you, when I was arrested in 2019, I sat back for 2 days, and I really looked and said, nah, if they're going to try me like this, I'm not going to help nobody no more. And I still remember riding in a car with Pastor Derek McGee. He's a good friend of mine. And Derek says, Warren, I said, yeah, man, I'm going to say, he said, I'm going to ask you one question. He said, I want you to pray about this. What did God tell you to do? And what does he want you to do? And I prayed. I went on a fast. God told me the same thing he's been saying. You take care of people, I'm going to take care of you. And so I went in.
And for the purpose of our conversation, those are you arrested in 2019, but that's an ongoing case. Yeah. So we're not discussing the details of it.
Of that,
right now.
So, it's still going.
Right.
So he, when he told me that, and I'm just gonna say this. 2020 was the pandemic. 2021 and 2022. 2019, I said, I'm giving this up. I pray about it, and God says no. In 2020, 2021, and 2022, my giving backpacks and school supplies, school clothes for kids, Thanksgiving turkeys for families, gift cards for families. But the Clean Start Initiative, I teach Bible college every Tuesday at Leon County Jail. I do life skill teaching. I mentor youth. And I'm going to put this on the record to show the effectiveness of. A couple of judges and DJJ has had me to get in touch with a couple of families this year. 4 kids that have come to me that I've met the dad. The dad has a job now. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I love what the Clean Start Initiative is doing. It is it's great. It's wonderful. And the thing that is more promising about it is when you start seeing one broken piece of a puzzle, and it's 7 pieces to this puzzle, and they're broken. Dad ain't working, mom on welfare, child is disturbed, this child is disturbed. The other 3 that are small coming up, they are caught in the middle of it. So you catch the kid that is struggling and at risk and about to go in and out of the system. You help him to see himself being better. You talk to mom and dad, you get dad a job. Now you got mom and dad going to church. Now the family's going to church, and then you're making a family become whole.
Right.
That is more gratifying to me than anything.
Yeah.
But Dave, I'm not saying this just to beg. I can't keep doing it without getting funded.
Right.
That's my problem. That's the big issue with Warren. I'm doing great work, but I'm not funded. And when the time I take away from my family and I'm wearing down my body and I'm doing everything I need to be doing.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit.
Yes, sir.
All right, you're also doing things in the community.
Yes,
you
sir.
are a current member of the Leadership Tallahassee class.
Let me tell you something. I love it.
Do you?
See, God blesses you with. It's the entire class. It's the entire class. Hats off to Sue Dick from the Chamber of Commerce. Barbara Boone, Marcus Nicholas is over us.
Yeah.
But man, I can go, and if I miss somebody, forgive me.
Right.
But I got sexy Sam McMillan. I got Joe Ward. I got Sandy, Tasha. I got Kat King. I got
You're going to run
Shawty.
into trouble here because you're never going to remember all 40 of them.
I got Shawty. And, it's so many of them. And they are so, we get together, we hang out, we do things. But even when I'm not with them, I see a post every day of another LT41 member helping someone else or doing something with them. They've helped me with my car wash a lot. But it's a camaraderie. We're like in a Hall of Fame or fraternity that I'll be in forever.
Yep.
And then yesterday I became a member of Sunrise Rotary Club.
Sunrise Rotary.
So God is putting some pieces together for me to have a bright future. But with Sunrise Rotary Club and even with LT41, these are fraternities that love to help people and do things without looking for it. LT41 is teaching me how to become a greater leader. The Rotary Club is teaching me how to give effectively in places that's really needed.
Right.
This is God working on behalf of me.
Yeah. Good combination there.
Yeah. It's great.
So what is that? How have you benefited from being exposed to different parts of the community that maybe you didn't know as much about?
So it's teaching me how to get out of my comfort zone. But more than anything, the perspectives and the ideas and the ways to help and to live that I've been learning from being in LT41, it's been amazing. I haven't even been in it 4 months, and it's been life-changing because I'm seeing things from the first weekend we went to Jacksonville to today. It's just a different avenue, a different weekend. It's a different day. It's a different party. But one thing about it is genuine love. And it's unity. And it's a fraternity that's helping me to go to another level. I've been going to the Rotary Club since February. They had me to come speak once.
Right.
And I was like, man, these people, you get to eat breakfast, you talk about how you can help people. And then being there yesterday to see what they done for Bond community, it's been like, wow.
Yeah.
I get to be a part of something that can help with no strings attached. And it's going to be great help you're giving.
Right.
And it's priceless.
Yeah, you're talking about mottos. And, of course, our motto is do good and have fun.
And have fun.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and I love it, man. I got pinned yesterday, which was great.
Congratulations.
And
I know, that's awesome.
And Jerry Osteryoung, he's my financial advisor, and CJ Arlett is on my board of directors.
Yeah.
So at the same time, they've both been mentoring me with Leadership Tallahassee, Clean Start Initiative, and now Rotary.
Yeah.
So
nice.
it's just like you can't the both for both. I got the best of both worlds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so finishing up with two more questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, first, so Warren, looking back, what is the one thing or person that has changed or altered the trajectory of your life to this point?
Spiritual Jesus. Physical, and it's getting there, my wife. She really has.
So when you met her, your life took on a different direction.
I didn't know it would. Well, marriage is I saw marriage one way, and I saw marriage the way I really saw it. And we struggled. We did our good parts. We struggled like any other any other relationship. But now, just sitting down every day, the trajectory of where I'm going has been great because of her. Because if we would have broke up and not been together 10, 15 years ago and not today, it still would be different. We're still together. We're not going to break up. I'm not leaving her. She's not going to leave me. I'm going to be better for her. She's going to be even better for me. And that part is my wife. I would say that.
All right, final question. The podcast is named How I Got Here, and we've talked to how you got to this point in your life. Where do you think here might be for you in 3 to 5 years from now?
Woo! Great question. I'm going to walk by faith and not by sight. I should have 2 group homes for men, 1 for women. I should have 2 locations for the detail shop. I should be paying for my family to go on vacation a lot. And hopefully in 3 years, I could be in a position where I'm almost, if I haven't, by God blessing me, purchasing a house for my wife. That's what I really would love to do.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can subscribe at Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, please leave us a review. It really does make a difference. Thanks to my amazing staff at Fiore Communications, who pick up the slack while I'm working on these podcasts, and to Troy Bloom for composing our theme music. You can hear more of Troy's creations on Facebook and Instagram at Troy Bloom Music. To connect with the podcast or suggest a future guest, follow us on social media or email us at podcast@fiorecommunications.com.